There is a broader question in the impeachment inquiry. It's about a demeaning of the office or an abuse of power. So it is fair game to say that even if his actions fall short of a crime, this is such an outrageous act, it so demeans the office that he has to be impeached and removed. The last few days have seen a whistleblower complaint and a readout of a phone call between Donald Trump and the president of the Ukraine that suggests a couple of worrying things. The first is that the president of the United States was pressuring the president of the Ukraine to investigate Joe Biden's son, Hunter Biden. The second is that there was an implicit carrot and stick. The carrot is if you investigate Hunter Biden, then we'll take care of you. We'll give you aid. We'll aid your economy. And if you don't, the worry is that there was a threat to revoke help to the Ukraine. So this is possibly a quid pro quo, an abuse of power, and maybe even a crime. Reports over the last few days have suggested that Nancy Pelosi is considering trying to limit this inquiry to the actions around the phone call with the Ukrainian president. That would be a mistake. A high crime is not a crime, and when we start to talk about abuse of office, it's important to paint a picture of what this president has done. In this context, of course, Ukraine should be central, but also in other areas. That process is not about a crime. The idea of a high crime and misdemeanor, as described in the Constitution, refers to a lowering of the office, a demeaning of the office, and a failure really to do the president's oath, to make good on the oath, to preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution. That's the standard that we have to look at, and so that supports a broad rather than a narrow inquiry. Congress should really look at, of course, crimes that were committed. That's part of lowering the office. If a sheriff is charged with taking care of the safety of his population or her population, and that sheriff steals money from the public treasury, that's an abuse of office. So a crime certainly can be an abuse of office, but that's not the only example of an abuse of office. Even if the president didn't commit a crime in this phone call, for instance, if he was trying to urge the president to go after a political opponent, that still is a completely inappropriate use of the office. There are other issues that we can look into that fit a pattern of a president abusing power, and that's really the issue here. The Emoluments Clause talks about the idea that a president shouldn't seek profit, use the office for his or her own profit. And George Washington, in the first inaugural, talks about the idea that this is not an office for profit, it's an office for the public good. And in his second inaugural, what he says is if a president disregards the oath, he or she has to be subject to upbraidings or criticism, and fundamentally, for where we are now, has to be subject to constitutional punishment. And the Constitution's procedure, the constitutional punishment appropriate to demeaning the office is impeachment and removal, even if a crime hasn't been committed.
Hey, NBC News viewers, thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Subscribe by clicking on that button down here, and click on any of the videos over here to watch the latest interviews, show highlights, and digital exclusives. Thanks for watching.